had the chili, United Way chili cook-off in Lafayette. We went walk around. They got some nice tents
Well,
out there.
first off, let's just talk about something.
All right,
We got a food sponsor.
bring them in. Bring them in.
Who we got?
Champagnes.
That's right.
Katie Anna's Grocer.
That's right.
5 locations.
Yeah, and champagne, y'all. My grandmother, Percy's wife, Nadia, was a champagne from St. Martinville. Them champagnes know how to cook it.
And they know how to supply.
And look, I mean, beautiful, beautiful groceries, fresh produce, got beautiful meat, seasoning, wine. They have the largest wine selection. Is that what you were telling
in
me?
South Louisiana, yeah, it's fantastic.
Probably in the world.
Probably so.
Yeah, in the world, y'all.
In our world,
Oh, yeah. So look, what are we cooking today?
we had the chili cook-off. We're
Yeah.
cooking chili. We
And?
went looking around some of them tents.
Yeah.
They're looking pretty good, but
You know how many different kind of chilies they got going on over here?
got a bunch of 'em.
Mas grande beaucoup.
but I think we can do it a little better. What you think?
Oh, well, look, you're going to be doing your version.
I'm gonna do one. You gonna do
And
one.
I'm gonna do a wild game. My good friend Charlie Pritchett gave us some Atchafalaya deer, y'all. We're gonna do a deer pork mix chili. It's gonna be beautiful, man.
When does Grilling with the Guru start?
Right now. Welcome back, guys. Hey, Kurt, look, we got some beautiful produce. You
Yes,
got
sir.
some peppers.
I need to put those on.
You put your peppers on, and what I'm gonna do, you see this? This is fresh kill, we call that.
Fresh kid.
3 weeks ago, a good friend of mine, Carl Hamilton, took me on a duck hunt, and we got a little bit of goose breast, we got some teal breast, and we got one of them ducks that nobody likes to talk about, but you tell you what, in a chili, it's just right. They call it a spoonbill.
A spoonie.
Smiley.
A smiley. A
Smiley.
spoonie.
So look, while he's doing that, guys, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cube them up. So you just take his breast, I haven't seasoned it yet, and we're just gonna cut it lengthwise into some nice long strips. And then we're gonna take that and we're gonna turn them all lengthwise, and we're gonna come back and cut them in cubes. And when you go and throw that in the pot, you don't put that at the very beginning. Actually, you put it at the very, very end. And all you want to do is blanch it to where when you bite into it, it's almost like a medium rare to rare texture or doneness. And that way you're not cooking it tough. It's still real tender and moist, but it's like little morsels of love. Beautiful dark meat.
Yes, sir.
And
So-
fresh kill.
And with fresh kill, with any wild game like that, you have two choices: either cook it rare or cook it all the way.
Oh yeah, smother
So-
down forever.
But when you cook it rare like that, you get to enjoy so much of the flavor of the animal itself. Versus whenever you stew it or really cook it, braise it for a long time, you still have some of the flavor, but it's not as fresh, not as prominent as right here.
Well, when we competed years ago in it was called the Halliburton Chili Cook-Off, we did the same technique and we ended up coming out second, bruh. That's like coming out second place in the Super Bowl.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to sneeze about second
No,
place.
sir.
They had about 50 teams back then.
you were telling me y'all was standing way in the back. Y'all wasn't expecting anything.
No. We were packed up, ready to go home. So what you doing over there? You smoking your peppers? Why you doing that?
Well, I'm charring them. I'm charring my
char-
peppers because I want to introduce that charred pepper flavor into my chili, and that's what chili is. It's a stew made from chili peppers. Chilies. That's how it all
and
works
that came
out.
from Mexico, right?
No, boy, Mexicans. I was doing a little research on the background of
I
chili.
set you up.
For Mexicans, they don't care much for what we call chili, but it's a Texas dish. Right?
It's a Texas dish.
And traditionally, it was cooked over an open fire. We just happen to have one of those.
Campfire.
Campfire.
So I can see some cowboys. Boy, I like that.
That's how
Cowboys over open fire with them cast on pots with the little arm
with the
and everything.
tripod and all the rest
yeah.
of that. That's how it was done, and it was used. They used traditionally cubed pieces of beef, and that's what I'm going to do. I have some chuck steaks that I'm going to grill and smoke a little bit. Then I'm going to cube them and put them in the pot and make a chili out of that.
Now, beans and no beans. Yeah, there's a big argument about that.
Okay,
Chili.
listen. People say chili that has beans isn't chili. Let me tell you something.
My dad.
Let me tell you something. Chili with beans is called chili with beans. It's still chili. I like beans in the chili.
Yeah.
Some people don't. I like it.
You and my dad would put in his duck camp chili? Mushrooms.
Yeah, you were telling me that
Mushrooms.
earlier.
And
Yeah.
my wife loves mushrooms. She's not big on ground meat and whatnot, but mushrooms. And it's that texture. You know,
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
bite into it, you got that that kind of ununiform flavor, the texture of the meat.
Right.
But then every once in a while you get that smooth little gelatinized bite of that mushroom. Love the mushrooms.
And hey, another part of chili, and there's more than one type of chili, but the chili we're more used to is red chili, rojo, right?
Rojo.
So, tomato sauce, tomato paste, stewed tomatoes, and then of course your seasonings. We have all of our seasonings. We have coriander, cayenne pepper, ground garlic, cumin, very popular, and of course chili powder. So what's chili powder? It's
What is chili powder?
dried, ground
Chili
up
pepper.
chili peppers.
Do they
Okay.
smoke them before?
They no, they generally don't.
No.
No, they just dehydrate them and then they grind them. And the fresh chilies I'm using are poblanos, Anaheims, some jalapenos, and some habaneros. We're gonna have some kick
Ooh,
on.
you're gonna have some heat on yours.
Yeah, but we're gonna
Come
control it.
on, ice cream.
Come on, ice cream. And then there's a couple secrets we're gonna share with y'all on what makes a chili not only taste good, competition level, but it's also Latin influence. It comes from the sweet aisle in the store.
Sweet out, but that's down the street from Forked Island.
No, that's
No?
a whole nother place you're talking about.
Oh.
Talking about the sweet aisle in the store where you get your sweets at.
Okay, I got you.
So look, let's take a little break, guys. When y'all come back, it's more chili. We're gonna get into it.
The guru, how much you put?
About that much,
About that much.
about like that. Come back, see you.
Y'all be cool.
Welcome back to the show, guys. Hey, Keith,
Hey,
chili time.
it is double chili time, double barrel.
Bang, bang. Hey, I want to listen. We got a few fans of the show hanging around, and one of them is in Pennsylvania. The guy named
Pennsylvania, like the state?
like the state, Pennsylvania, like the state.
Oh my goodness.
Guy named Ron Beck. He follows our Facebook page and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he mentions that he grows peppers, this, that, that. He said, Kurt, I want to send you some. They call it pepper powder.
Right.
Send me whatever. Yeah, I'd be glad to have it.
How
He
many
sent
different peppers they got in there?
40.
40. 40.
Scorpions, Carolina Reapers, all the. Let me tell you something, bro. You better put your big boy pants on. You pass your finger in this thing right
I
here.
can't handle that. I'll tell you that right now.
It has a fantastic flavor, but
Use it limited.
hey,
All right, look.
this is gonna last all my life right there.
Well, this is a
you,
Chafalot fresh. It's actually deer and pork mixed, but came from the Chafalot Basin. Thank you, Charlie Pritchett. And we're gonna go ahead and put this in the pot on the grill right now. Now, guys, we got some. Not only do we have charcoal, we're cooking over charcoal, but we're gonna put some applewood chunks. And let me tell you, that is the secret. When you eating that, you're gonna taste the smoke. It's amazing. Try it.
Come in. Come see, Dylan. Look, y'all. Look our peppers. All right, Keith's going, oh, that's a pretty sound. Okay, our peppers are not burnt. This is what we want. We want to blacken them, okay? We want to blacken them. The big green ones right here are Anaheims. These are the poblanos. Of course, that's a jalapeno. And then these little boogers right here, that's the habaneros, the Scotch bonnets.
Man,
So
why they're so small then they got to be so hot?
It's just God's funny way. So yeah, you want to get them nice and dark, okay? And then we're gonna seal them in a container so they sweat, and then that way the peelings come right off, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So and the reason why we're doing that is to introduce that roasted pepper flavor. That's what I want to introduce that in my chili. Keith's got that meat browning. We got some onions and bell peppers and all the rest of that stuff coming in there. And then we're also going to make a cornbread on the grill in a black iron pot.
Now look. This isn't like you cut it and you stick it out in the yard where it gets all moldy and stuff. This is applewood that's been freshly cut and stored in a warehouse. It's beautiful. We sell it at the store, but I'm telling you guys, if you got any kind of fruit-bearing tree, a good friend of ours had a camp and they had a wild cherry tree. Beautiful, wild cherry tree. Blew down in a storm.
Yeah.
Cut us some logs.
Oh yeah.
Man, let me tell you, smoke a brisket with that?
Yeah.
So don't underestimate. Use a good base fuel, guys, which is lump charcoal. Don't use a charcoal. Lump charcoal. Make sure it's not heavily mesquite, because anything that says product of Mexico probably is heavily mesquite flavored. It's kind of strong. Use a domestic wood, oak, pecan, and then come back on top of that with some peach wood, apple wood, wild cherry wood. All these different flavors.
He calls that spiking. Okay.
That's right.
And if you add some right at the end, it'll punch that flavor right up, right? So you last 15, 20 minutes, you put your couple small pieces in there, let that fresh smoke come up and hit it. So it's one of the tricks when you're in competition level.
You gotta be different. You gotta have something. You gotta have a little thing. And I tell you, Jack Ainsworth was one of the judges when we came out second. And he came up, he found us. He said, I wanted to find out who came out second. It was a blind taste test. And he said, what was different? He said, y'all did something different. I said, well, we smoked it with applewood. He said, that's it. He said, when I opened the container, it just hit me, man. I could smell that smoky flavor, but I couldn't put my finger on it. You got to do something different. Tell you, this is the secret weapon, guys.
So just something like that. So look, hey, I'm gonna pull the peppers off and I'm gonna put my chuck steak on so I can get that grilling, so we can get that in the pot. Go ahead.
So from beginning to end of chili, they were asking me that on the radio this morning. I'll tell you what I told them, and you tell me what you want to say. But I told them this. I said, look, it's edible in an hour.
Yes.
Maybe even shorter.
Yes.
But the longer you can let that thing, put it on drink and simmer, every hour you add to that simmer, the better and better it's going to be. My dad would cook it for 8 hours all day long. We'd get to the camp we'd work. And then we'd get to the camp at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. We'd eat it, and it was unbelievable. But it had it cooking all day.
So
you know when it was better?
The
next day.
So what do we think about like that gumbo, right?
Same thing.
Same thing. Okay.
Same thing.
Anything, because a chili is basically a stew, guys. So we want to low and slow, right? We want to, like we say, look, I'm gonna show you the back of my shirt. We want to put it on drink, and we want to just let it go nice and slow, okay? And that develops the flavor. It gets real mild, and tomatoes have a lot of acid, as you know, and we can get that acidity out of there, okay? So
what comes up next?
Well, we're going to continue to cook chili.
That's right.
All right. But what's next going to happen? I'm going to have to grill my chuck steaks.
Okay, you're going to grill your chuck steaks, but then all the other ingredients are going to be going into mine. You got the onions, you got the bell pepper mix, you got the seasoning, you got tomato sauce, the stewed tomatoes, tomato paste. And then you just lower down and just let it go, guys. So look, y'all don't go nowhere. We're still in the hot mix of preparing our famous chilies. You don't want to miss this. Y'all don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Come back, see us.
Hey guys, welcome back. Hey, I don't want to kind of keep kicking the dead horse.
That's it. All right.
But I want to thank again.
Oh,
Sean
yes.
Fines.
No, absolutely.
Sean Fines Grocery. They got many locations. We shop at the one in the All Center. Our new food sponsor for the year. I tell you what, great people, great store, great produce, a lot of stuff to choose from.
Great service.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's a great place to go shop. And look, it's not just the one in the All Center. They got locations all over
All
Acadiana.
over Acadiana.
Shop local. You know, we always tell you shop local. So shop local.
All right, guys.
What
so
you
look, we got the onions off camera. We added the onions and bell pepper mix. We stirred that in there with the deer meat and the pork meat. We got everything browning. Now's the time to add the liquid ingredients. We're gonna do the tomato sauce. We're gonna do the stewed tomatoes, and then the tomato paste. We're gonna stir that down. We're gonna put it on drink, like you said. We're gonna simmer that down, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna start seasoning it a little bit later. But what are you doing with all that in that pot right there, that little container?
This is the peppers I've taken off. I put them in a plastic container. I covered it and I let them sweat. And the reason why I did that is so we can do this. We can just peel the skins, come right off, right? So we could take the skins off and we could take the seeds out. You don't have to get them all, but you want to get as much as you can. The skins are indigestible, so if you don't have them, if you don't need them, then you don't want them. But we do still get the charred flavor, which is important, okay? And then from there, we have our chuck steaks in the back right here, nice and grilled. I don't want to cook them, I just want to smoke them, right? And grill and mark them up a little bit.
Yeah, which you
okay?
marked them pretty good.
So, and look, as far as I'm concerned, that's all I want. So I'm gonna pull these off and let them sit for a second, then I'm gonna cube them. Then they're gonna go back in the pot with a little bit of that beautiful ground chuck we got from Sean Fines, and we're gonna make chili.
That's poblano, you said?
Poblano, Anaheim, habanero, and jalapeno.
Well, let me tell you, I just tasted one. The texture is like, it doesn't take long for it to soften up.
No, not at all.
Oh my
not
God,
at all.
guys, it's delicious.
Yeah, well, this is Anaheim. This one's Anaheim. So, what you got over there?
What I got?
Yeah, what you
come
got?
look at this.
We'll see.
Now we're cooking in a big pot over there off camera, but what we did is we added like I said, the stewed tomatoes. We got some tomato sauce. We probably got a little bit more tomato sauce, and also the tomato paste. So we're gonna stir all this down. The one we did in the big pot that we started, what, Kurt, about 2 hours ago?
Yeah, about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, all these big chunky stewed tomato pieces that you see, guys, will cook down. Just keep stirring the pot on simmer. They start breaking apart. When you first look at it, well, I don't ever ate a chili with big old chunks of tomatoes like that. Don't freak out. It's gonna break down. It just gives you a different texture in with your chili. So
I don't know why you're saying we. Charlie Pritchard's the one over there. That's the man in the pot. He's the one
and we
stirring.
want to thank Charlie.
We
Boy,
over here looking
thank God
pretty.
he's retired, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And guys, you notice I'm wearing black gloves? It's because I'm handling these little things right here. They're very hot. And if you touch that with bare hands, then you have to go to the restroom. Everybody's gonna know.
That's where they came up with that term.
It was one of the ways, I promise you. So use caution. I mean,
So you didn't ground, this ain't ground meat. I mean, I never seen somebody start off a chili with steaks.
well, that's how it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Back when chili was made in the 1800s, when the dish was invented, it was a cowboy dish.
Right,
So
right.
they made it on the range over open fire, black iron pot on a tripod, and they used pieces of beef.
Right.
You just cube it up and then you let it stew.
So it's almost like a stew,
It's-
but they
it's a-
call it a chili.
They call it chili because of the
they put
chili peppers that you put
in the powder and all that.
Yeah. So that's how it came to be. So I'm just kind of going what we call back to the roots of chili.
See, we don't just educate you on how to cook stuff. We tell you why it was cooked like it to begin with.
How it came to
It's
be.
like Wikipedia,
It's like, well, kind of. Kind of.
the Cajun version.
Cajunpedia, Grillopedia. But yeah, so that's how chili came to be, and that's the way I'm gonna do it. I love the flavor of chuck steak. It's fatty, but we're gonna render some of that fat out. I'm gonna cut some pieces of the fat off, but I love the flavor of it. And then my secret weapon is I have some soup shank. I have some soup meat, right? And I'm gonna put the bone in there so I get the flavor of the bone, so I don't have to go through making a beef stock, which you could do.
Ooh.
Don't get me wrong, you could do that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna let it do it itself, right?
Do
So-
it the way God intended, brother.
Yeah, that's well.
Use every part of the cow.
That's why he invented cow. He said, "Man, what can I give him to make a good chili?"
Dylan, come see real quick. I want to show the audience something. Now, we just started this one, so look at the color of this chili. I know that it's in the shade. It's hard to maybe tell, but this one has more of an orangey kind of red. Now, come take a few steps back and show them in that big pot, which we're actually offering this at the chili cook-off, but look at the color difference in that. And these had them big chunky stewed tomatoes, so they just basically dissolve and go away and become part of your chili. So it's delicious. It's delicious.
Fantastic. Hey, everybody has their own recipe for chili, and these are just a couple ways you can add what we have to yours or what you have to ours. But listen, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, more chili,
You doing a cornbread too?
and we're doing cornbread on the grill.
Cornbread on the grill, y'all.
Fantastic cornbread recipe I'm going to share with y'all. Don't miss it. Y'all come back, guys.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's looking good, Kurt.
What's happening?
No, let
What's
me show
happening?
you. Let me show you that.
Come see. Dale, bring it in, baby.
You cubed up your pork steaks.
No.
I mean,
Chuck
excuse me, the
steak.
chuck steaks.
Chuck steak. It's like, wait, somebody switched it? All right. So look, you remember, guys, all I did was I just grilled them. I just marked them up, put some smoke flavor on them. Then I cubed them up. Keith's got his concoction going right here.
And we just season it as we go. You season, you taste. You can't, like you always say, Kurt, you can always add, but you can't remove it.
No, not easily anyway. So these
No.
are the peppers that we grilled earlier and we skinned and we put them in. You and I tasted some of these. Boy, they good.
They're very delicious. They got a lot of flavor. And if you hit one of them seeds, you feel that little ay-yi-yi.
It's got a little ay-yi-yi for you.
Look, Jim, look what we got. You focus on that? Now, a lot of people, they'll put table sugar, they'll put dark chocolate,
Which is fine.
which is fine. And the reason I was told that they do that is because the sugar it kind of acidifies the acid from the tomatoes, but then it overall just adds a certain amount of flavor to what you're cooking.
It deacidifies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that is true, but it does add a unique flavor, especially chocolate. Chocolate is very prevalent in Latin cooking, right?
And we don't mess around, no. We go after the best.
That's right.
Yes.
But look, if you don't get Ghirardelli, you can get Baker's baking chocolate. It works just as fine, right?
That's right.
So
Just don't drop no dark chocolate M&Ms in there.
no, because they will melt in your pot. The chocolate, they will melt in your pot. But yeah, the chocolate is used a lot in Latin cooking, in their moles, in their sauces, and it mellows everything out and gives a kind of a smoky back flavor to it. It's really interesting. So when you use it in something like a chili that has just tons of really hard, sharp flavors, it's plays in the background.
Charlie was even saying he competed against this guy and he put Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all know the story of people who make a brown gravy with Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not one of them, but, you know. Ooh, boy, it smells good right here. Yo, it smells good right here.
It tastes very good too.
All right.
So what you doing right there?
Now I put in 2 medium chopped white onions and a whole head of garlic.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
So now I'm gonna put my tomato product in, right? So we have one 29 ounce, 30 ounce can of tomato sauce, and I have 1 can of stewed tomatoes, and I have 1 can of tomato paste. And we were talking about this before. I'm not real particular when it comes to the sauce and the stewed tomatoes. I mean, I kind of am, but you know, but I'm very. This is the only kind I use. I only use Cinto when it comes to tomato paste. It's not as bright and harsh as some of the other pastes out there. And I've used some very expensive ones, and I've used some very cheap ones.
Well, I hope Champagne sells that brand because
That's where I got it.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Everything came from Champagne.
Let me tell you, you gotta love
Everything
Champagne.
came from Champagne. So you got your can of tomato paste, you got your can of stewed tomatoes. And I'm like, Keith, don't worry about it, it's gonna break down.
It's gonna break
Be
down.
all right.
Either by stirring or cooking. It will break down.
So I don't need the whole can of tomato paste. So I'm gonna start with half. And look, guys, when you're on location and you didn't bring a small spoon, you just use the back of a regular spoon, it'll be all right.
Whatever you can.
Whatever you can, just don't run your finger in there.
Now we're gonna also be doing a homemade cornbread, right?
We're gonna be doing the cornbread on the grill in this pot right here. And we're gonna do that one in a second.
We got one of our cans ran away from us.
Yeah, the wind got one of my cans and ran away from us. But look, everything's looking great. We got our competition pot going. Mr. Charlie's tending to that for us. Uncle
Unbelievable.
Charlie. Knock Charlie. Deer and pork. Deer and pork. The first chili was made out of deer, by the way, so that's how it's supposed to be. And then we got beef, and more beef right here. So hey, come back, guys, come back. It's gonna be delicious. You don't wanna miss it. We're gonna have the cornbread. Be sure and see us.
Y'all don't wanna miss this.
Don't miss it.